Yeah, obviously very happy about the class that we've got committed, signed, and to be part of our football program here. I think a lot of things go into that. Really happy for, Coach Gasser, his crew, everybody that works in our recruiting department, to really do a good job of identifying prospects that we feel like fit the culture and the fabric of who we are. And, then it goes to our assistant coaches to go out and get them recruited, get them committed, get them signed, that kind of thing. And that's a long, extensive process, and there's so many different things, so many more moving pieces. And I just think our coaching staff did a really good job. A class that I think is really the things that we're trying to hit home on, really good, high-character people that understand the value of free education. And this class's GPA is just under a 3.5, and smart, good, intelligent football people that have good high character and that are obviously really good, we feel are really good players, and guys that I think that really love the game, and I think sometimes in today's world we get, you get exposed to all of this stuff on social media and the process of all this. Sometimes kids fall in love and get enamored with the process of that and maybe like recruiting a little bit more than they love football. And, these guys I think have a really solid foundation. So I think it addresses some needs in the future of what we want our team to be. Now it kind of clears the picture from what we have on our current team, what we're bringing in as young people here. And then, from there you go fill some holes, with the advantage of having the portal here opening up next week. So, roster's still under construction, but very happy for, our young class that is joining the Rockets.
When you look at kind of the hometowns of these kids, this is kind of your bread and butter recruiting ground, Ohio, Detroit area, Florida. I don't know how much, like when you set out to form a class, just how much of it is like we're going to start where we're strongest?
Yeah, I think 15 or 16 of these guys are from right here in our local footprint. That's a 3 to 4 hour radius of what, campus is, and that gives us a good mixture and a good place to go search, because I think there's a lot, start right here in our city, really good football. The Ohio State Championships are this week. Northwest Ohio very well represented in that tournament. Then you go to the state of Ohio, and obviously there's been great football played here for a long, long time. Michigan football has definitely improved over the last 15, 16 years, and a lot of really, really good players have come from the Detroit metropolitan area to be part of our team, since I've been the head coach and years prior as well. Pittsburgh's always been a good spot for us, getting back into there and doing a little bit of work there. And then obviously, like I said, there's a lot of good football played around this part of the country. And then from there, you get on a plane and go find them. You got Texas represented, you got Florida represented, you got some guys from, some faraway places, and those guys have been successful here too. So I think it's about finding the guys that fit your team, fit what the coaching staff is about, understands the work that's going to go into play championship type football.
Sean Simeon is a pretty dynamic guy. Like when you watch his film, I think he jumps off, but especially like if you just look at his stats, uber impressive. I guess what were your first impressions of him when he kind of came on your guys' radar, and I guess how did it progress?
Well, a big personality, infectious smile, guy that's always, I don't know if that guy's ever had a bad day, and he's the bell cow of a team that they line up and run the ball pretty much every play. The other team knows they're going to run the ball every play, and somehow he gets 100, 150, 200 yards each and every game. And, he's really put his team on his back, and, they're still playing down there and, chasing a state championship themselves. But I really fell in love with the person, the human being, and, what a great kid. He's a leader in his school within the walls of his building, and some of that stuff is well documented of who he is as a person. And when you get a great person, and then you think you can be a great player, and he's got the work ethic and the desire to be great, that usually ends up to be a pretty solid recipe for success.
When did Cam kind of come on the radar, and what was your first interaction with him in terms of meeting him?
Cam? Cam's, we've always had a dynamic returner here, and losing Jock, we wanted to have somebody that was, that had verified track numbers that we knew had long speed. And, he's, I think, just coming into his own as a wide receiver, but, obviously very dynamic, verified track times, elite speed guy, and a guy that I think can score the ball wherever he touches it from wherever on the field. So he can be a great addition for us for sure.
And then with Noah obviously in the same area, with his family, just kind of what has that interaction been like, speaking with him and his parents?
Yeah, Noah's has his own story. Obviously his family's success is very well documented, but Noah's his own guy, and I think that's probably one of the things that really attracted Noah to us is we're going to allow him to be Noah. We don't we may want him to play like Barry, but we don't need him to be Barry Sanders, and we want him to be Noah Sanders. And Noah's going to be a great player. He's got a great, bright future ahead of him. And, another kid raised the right way, a really respectful guy, good quality character, good human being, and a guy that I think really loves football and is probably his best football is ahead of him. Led his team into a great playoff run and had a really good senior season. I'm really excited about what the future holds for that young man.
Jason, another elite class, which means a lot of big schools are after the same guys you're going after. Just in this new era where, some schools are just obviously can openly pay players now, is there a greater sense of celebration, accomplishment on a day like this, knowing that these guys are, you guys are competing in the NIL game too, but like knowing that these guys are coming for the right reason in some ways?
Yeah, I think there's a great question, and first of all, and second of all, like I do think there is a level of satisfaction in knowing that there's Toledo kids here that want to be part of Toledo's football program, and these guys make their decisions now in March, February, sometimes even January of going into their senior year. So to be able to, many of those guys are in that boat. They were committed to us early. Used to be able to tell right around the July 4th area there, man, you'd have 45-50% of your class committed by then, and this year we're almost all of them done by then. So those guys to jump on board early, stay committed through the process, and I think it allows the young people to go play really good football their senior year and play freely and not have to worry about the stressors of recruiting. But yeah, happy that we got those guys to the finish line and that they're going to be a part of us and like you said, for the right reasons.
Has it become harder for G5 coaches in the NIL era to keep their guys that are, more heralded players, I guess?
Well, a lot of kids have a lot of things that are, that they're exposed to, and I think we're still in the finding out phase of what this really looks like, so there's not as many horror stories out there of maybe that you don't go someplace because you really want to. You go somewhere else for maybe the wrong reasons and it doesn't work out for you. So we're still waiting and dealing with and seeing what the outcomes of some of these decisions might be. And there's going to be some horror stories. There's going to be some failures. And there's going to be some successes, obviously, too. But, I think we've created a model where I can look at somebody else's success and automatically think that's going to be the case. Ironically, that thought process has been in place for good college football players for a long time. Just because somebody went to a particular program and made it to the NFL does not necessarily mean that I'm going to. I have to have the same work ethic, the same drive, the same elite athletic ability, and probably got to get lucky along that process. So, this is more of an art than a science of putting together a class and maintaining a roster than it has ever been. It's as fluid as a situation it's ever been. If you're going to wake up every day as the head coach or assistant coach and know exactly what your day is going to look like, and you're not going to deviate from that each and every day, you're in for some brutal surprises sometimes. So we have to understand and respect the fluidity of it and roll with the punches as they come.
How hard is it to balance as a head coach? Because, recruiting truly has become like 24/7, 365. But, obviously, August to November, you're in your season, you have games, you have practice. It seems like it'd be incredibly difficult to balance that and stressful, worried about.
Yeah, you got to have a great team around you, which we do, which I'm fortunate that I do. Signing day for us, you can make the argument it's 365 days out of the year. It used to be one day, and everybody, put a lot of emphasis in that. And, you're talking about balloons on the walls and everything is celebrated that day. This could happen at any time, at any place, anywhere. And, you want to make sure that it's that old adage, right? It's like shaving. Like if you don't do it every day, you don't look good, and you gotta make sure you handle the recruiting each and every day. It's part of your daily routine. There's daily conversations. As good of a class as I think that we put together, I think we could have even done better, if I'm being totally honest. And I think that, we've got to understand that, to take this place to where we want to take it, we have to continue to add talent. We have to add quality talent. If there's a roster limitation thing coming down the pike that says you have to go to 105 guys, there's not any room for misses. You have to be really dialed in. You have to have the right character in your building. They have to sit in these seats and believe everything that the program stands for. So you have to be really, really airtight in your process, and that's going to be difficult.
Going off of that, just how do conversations change given it's obviously in the year one of having the transfer portal, but when you look at a recruiting class versus what you may try to go get out of the portal, how does that change the conversation then potentially?
Well, I think that people and the families involved, you have to paint a picture to them that sometimes this is a moving target. This is not You know, hey, what it looks like in March is, you know, not necessarily what it's going to be in June, or certainly what it's not going to be in October. You know, if you fall victim to that sometimes, Coach, you get asked the question in January, well, how many particular players will you sign at this particular spot? You give them a number, and 3 months later you look like a liar, because not because you told them a lie, but the circumstances around that position have changed so much, whether that be injury, whether that be somebody leaving your program, or like I said, the addition of the portal and being able to work that way. So it's a moving target. Like I said, it's a very fluid situation, and you know, you just got to have open and honest conversations with everybody, which, you know, I think we do a good job of that here.
How much do you believe in recruiting kids from winning programs? I mean, typically you probably have a good culture at those places. They get good coaching. I mean, does that kind of stuff matter at the high school level?
I think it's huge. I do, and I think it's probably more important now than it's ever been. You know, you're seeing guys across the country sign to go to schools right now that don't have a head coach, you know, in their program. And you know, what are you signing up for? Like, and what advice are you getting from the adults? And if you're not at a really structured program and a really good program, and they haven't been through this process a lot, and so it's not the kid's fault, you know what I mean? It's the structure of what it is around them. You take that just from the recruiting piece of it, then you add the football piece of it. Well, there's a big difference from, you know, Toledo Central Catholic is going to play in the postseason again for the state championship for the third year in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong, it takes 16 games to win the title, so there's 18 more games that these kids have been able to play rather than a kid who's never made the playoffs. That is a massive advantage, just from the amount of reps that you get, the amount of time it takes to develop. So you're crazy if you don't recruit kids from winning programs, teams that play in the playoffs. They understand that, you know, they understand adversity. They understand that it sucks to lose. They understand that you know, you think you're going to win a state title and only one team gets to hold the trophy up. They understand how to celebrate success. They understand how to handle the punches that are, you know, given to them. And in college football, whether you like it or not, both of those scenarios are going to happen. You know, adversity is coming. You just don't know where it's going to come from and how it's going to come, and you're only going to be defined about how you respond to it. So you want to have as many guys in your locker room as you can that understand that and that maybe have been through that type of scenario before.
Is that similar in the transfer portal as well? We prefer kids that won and played a good program?
I think you do. I mean, and we've talked about some of the guys on our team, right? We've probably had this conversation about Judge Culpepper, Dallas Gant, you know, Savon Clark. Like, those guys, you know, they understand what it takes what the work is required to be a good player. And I'm not saying every kid has to be that way. You know, that's the beauty of building a team. Everybody is different. But, you know, if you have to deal with 17 or 18 young freshmen that have never been shown the right way how to practice, or shown the right way how to win, or shown the right way how to, you know, handle adversity, and you know, that gets really exhausting on the coaching staff and the support staff and the people that are around them each and every day. So, and again, if we're talking about roster limitations, if that's true, and if that's going to happen down the pike here, like you don't get misses. You don't get many of those. Like you don't get a chance to sign the extra kid and you bring them in your program and you work with them and you got time and you got patience and you can develop and develop and develop, and if he makes a couple mistakes, you can bring them back and get them right. You just don't have very much margin for error anymore.
You mentioned the constant work that goes into this year round. You know, not only do you have this class, we also have a couple commits for next year as well with Bo and Seth. What does it say about this program, and then, you know, that these kids are committing that far in advance to come play for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's obviously that our staff can do a good job developing relationships and maintaining relationships. It understands that I think what we think at this time and this stage, that 17, sometimes 16 years old, you know, we feel like we've got a good player, and their talent is going to project to what we want it to be at age 21, 22, or 23. You know, and we've seen, for instances, on both senses of it, like we've had highly recruited guys here that have played really well. We've had highly recruited guys here that haven't. We've had under-recruited guys that have played poorly. We've had under-recruited guys that have been first-round draft picks. So, you know, to me, it says that there's awareness that our team is headed in the right direction, that we have a good program, that we can develop you at a high level. The reality of it is that what you're signing up for is 4 to 5 years of really hard work that is going to allow you to continue the blueprint of what you think success is going to look like, and hopefully help you accomplish your dream of winning a championship, getting a degree, and, you know, hoping to have a chance to play in the NFL someday.